The officiating in the Georgia-Auburn game was as bad as college football officiating has been in a long time, and college football officiating has been very inconsistent and largely a joke for quite a while now. Not just bad calls being made. Bad calls are acceptable. I mean, to a certain degree. Bad calls are going to happen as long as humans are involved. Mistakes are going to happen as long as humans are involved. The lack of transparency, the lack of accountability, the lack of a basic understanding at certain points of what's going on, and the lack of answers that you get afterwards is so inexcusable. Again, this is not a government operation. Kublik's calling me while I'm on air. That's also inexcusable. This is not classified intel. These are not clandestine government operations. This is not a black op. This is a college football game that you're paying money to attend, that you're paying money in rights fees to watch, that you're being paid to coach, but it's a game. At the end of the day, it's a game. And it is a billion-dollar brand, the SEC. And it is the greatest sport on the face of the earth. And it is the most ridiculous nickel and dime officiating mechanism that that billion-dollar brand could possibly have. You could not screw up how this stuff works any more than major college football currently screws it up. So last night in this game, from the time the 2-minute warning hit to the time it was real halftime was 36 minutes. 36 minutes of real time went by from the 2-minute warning to halftime. There were no injuries. There were no weather delays. The clocks didn't stop and they had to go to commercial break to reset it. It was just egregiousness left and right. And here's the great irony in all this. The call that was the most debated, I think they got right. That's the irony of it all. I know a lot of people are up in arms about the call down near the goal line where some people thought Auburn had scored, but they ruled it a fumble. And then they reviewed it forever and they didn't overturn it. Guys, I thought they made the right call. What I don't want you to do is one of the big pet peeves of mine in life. When there's a close call in a football game, first off, stop saying it wasn't even close. Obviously, at the very least, it was close. I'm telling you, I think they got the call right, but it was close. Of course it was close. There's nothing indisputable here. And the second pet peeve, please stop using still frames of football games to present what you think is definitive proof of a spot or possession or anything like that. That's not proof of anything. I've seen the still image you're passing around. I know the imaginary red line you've drawn on it. You're not proving anything. You've got to look at it frame by frame as it's moving. And the ball was probably coming out before it crossed the goal line. But at the very least, it's not indisputable. So stop talking like that. Here is what is also not in dispute. The officials lost control of the game. The officials totally lost control of the game. There were several other moments that were beyond the pale egregious in this game that I could take the goal line spot out entirely. Let's just pretend it never happened. Here's how terrible this game was officiated. Take the rest of the game. And it was still the worst I've seen in a long time. They lost control of the game. I don't know how else to present it. If you watched it, you know what I mean. If you didn't watch it, if you still have it on your to-do list, don't go watch the condensed game. Carve out about 5 hours, because that's how long it's going to take you. Put yourself through this game. You will not believe it until you see it, how horribly it was officiated. They lost control of the game. I kid you not, I cannot name names, I cannot do it. Members of both coaching staffs texted me during the game from the sideline because there were so many stoppages in play and they were so incredulous, like both sides, so incredulous. I had members of both staffs text me during the game. I've never had that happen before, ever. And it happened both sides of the field. I wasn't sending them anything. They sent me something during the game. And the worst moment I thought of the night was not the goal line stuff. The worst moment was Kirby clearly trying to call a timeout, and then play being stopped, but then them not charging a timeout, but also not calling delay of game. And what happened there is what would happen if you elevated an official too quickly. If I took an official who's pretty good at his job, but has only officiated junior high or high school ball, and I put him on the field, Jordan Hare Stadium, 87,000 and change, millions watching at home, and it's a key third down, and you cannot hear yourself think. That's how an inexperienced official would allow the circumstances to impact him. You would be shell-shocked. That's why they don't hire newbies and put them on the field in the SEC on a Saturday night. Hey, wait just a second. I appreciate you guys watching. Most of you are subscribed. If you're not, please do so. It's free. It helps us keep the show free, and that's how we do college football year-round. All right, back to the video. No, believe it or not, these guys have done this several times before, but since nothing ever changes in SEC officiating, and trust me, the SEC is far from the only conference that has its officiating issues. There is someone in the Illinois-Ohio State game yesterday with no business on this planet officiating a high-level college football game that was on the field yesterday. You want to know why that PI didn't get called for Illinois? Well, go check out who the field judge is there. Again, there's inexplicable stuff happening all over the country. You have no transparency. You get no answers. Just deal with it. Why? Because no one's there to force the issue. There's no central command. There's no commissioner. There's no oversight in college football. So it's just allowed to be the train wreck that it is every single week. But when that happened in that game, that was what had me stunned. That's the moment that's beyond the pale. That's the moment where there are no guardrails and you're off the road and you're tumbling down the hill and you're thinking to yourself, how is this an SEC football game? How is this conference that prides itself on being the best and on the cutting edge of everything, allowing this to be how it's represented? Like, can you imagine someone who's new to college football watching that garbage and thinking, oh, this is an SEC football game, huh? This is insane. Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. In no world does the game just stop. In no world is Georgia or Auburn in a situation where technically you should be running 2-minute offense, but because the play stops every time, defense just gets to reset after every play because officials don't have control of the game. Unbelievable that it could be that bad. I saw John Cohen, who is the athletic director at Auburn, take in a lot of fire because when they were walking off the field before halftime, he was ripping an official to shreds. He was ripping the white hat to shreds. And people said, that's unbecoming of athletic director. You cannot do that. You can't allow that to happen publicly. You know, 99 times out of 100, I'd agree with you. But let me ask you something. Why can't John Cohen do that? He's not going to get answers otherwise. Why can't Auburn fans applaud their athletic director for ripping an official publicly on the field? Why is that not his play? You'd have a much better point. There would be more merit to your argument if I knew that white hat was going to go to a press conference podium afterwards and have to answer. You know, like Hugh Freeze has to answer when he screws up, or Kirby has to answer. For that matter, the college football players have to answer. They got to go sit in front of the media when they screw up. The white hat and his crew, they're down the road, police escort to the airport, and you'll never hear from them. And the best you'll get, the absolute best you'll get, if you're lucky, is the league office will send you a memo 48 hours later saying, yeah, we screwed up. We're not going to give you a win. Oh, by the way, we're not even going to fine ourselves. We don't even owe you any money, like you'll owe us if you question us publicly. No, it's just the way it'll be. So I saw John Cohen running off the field. I had a lot of my buddies text me and say, that's a terrible look. I texted every one of them back. I'd do the same thing. The league created this because the league allows this to be how it is officiated. How its game is officiated is a joke. The lack of transparency is a joke. If you just give more transparency, if just that changed, people would have less a problem with it. They'd still have a problem, but it would be less a problem. But I want you to watch. You watch and see what happens to that crew. Because this is twice now. If the league has any sense about itself, and it did after the Oklahoma game, the league is going to have to tell Auburn and Georgia, in this case, we fundamentally torpedoed your football game. What happens to the crew? What happens? Is there, and don't be telling me that you pull them off the road for a couple of weeks. Don't be telling me that. Tell everyone that. So when I do these segments sometimes, people from the league office will say, you're wrong about what you said. We did take action. First off, your action is very, very cosmetic. That's not action. Action is taking people who aren't qualified to do their job out of the job. That's action, number one. Number two is stop telling folks you screwed up and do something about the screw up. And part three is stop just texting me. Why don't you answer to the public? The entire reason this sport gets to exist at the level it does is because of fan interest. And then you just piss all over them and tell them it's raining when you put that kind of officiating product on the field and expect them to just swallow it. Why? Well, what else can they do? Oh, they'll show up no matter what. It's so pathetic. And like the people in charge of college football right now are not remotely responsible for how successful it is. They just happen to be next in line. You know, they just happen to slither their way up the administrative ladder, and so now they're in the decision-making position. They didn't create this game. They're not the reason this game's great. They're not the reason Georgia-Auburn is the game it is, or the reason why millions of people are watching it. And yet, for some reason, people that ill-qualified to handle the moment get put in the moment, and it's very aggravating. So, yes, to answer your question, I was every bit as beside myself watching that last night as you were.